Are you managing your remote sales team? But are you growing that team? Are you optimizing that team? In this episode, we're going to dive into all aspects of how to grow your remote sales team and manage it and optimize it all in one episode. Hey everybody, welcome into another episode of Rev Show. I'm Rob.
And I'm Ruben.
And today is all about how to manage your remote sales team. And the number one thing we're going to start with, like with everything else, what are the challenges? Well, here are the top 3 challenges that you're probably having.
We've interviewed countless number of people about managing a remote sales team, and it really comes down to these top 3 biggest challenges. Now, this doesn't mean that it's exhaustive of all the things that we're dealing with in managing a remote sales team, but it does cover the biggest ones. Number 1 is process. What is the process, and is it being implemented by the entire team? Number 2 is trust. Is there trust between leadership, between the team? Do people feel like they can trust the team members to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, or are they at home playing a guitar all day? And number 3 is the results. Are you comfortable with the results that you're accomplishing and the way that you're measuring those results? These things are so critical to think about when you're managing your remote sales team. And in this video, we're going to unpack so many ways that you can tactically improve all 3 of these and more.
Now that we've talked about the challenges, let's get into the solutions. We're very solutions oriented here at Dubb. The solutions with this are going to start out with a word that you've invented, Ruben. I think you've invented it. What's the word?
No, definitely not.
What's the word?
Systematize.
Okay.
So important. There's such a need when you're managing a remote sales team to create process, to systematize everything. And I know that sounds robotic, and I know that it sounds like there's not a lot of room for creativity and for real life to happen, because John Lennon said it best. He said, life happens when we're busy planning. But what's interesting about this is that probably 90% of what we're doing in sales actually can be systematized. When we think about this, we think about what happens when something happens. If someone fills out a lead form on your website, what takes place? Is there a certain person or a department within the company that gets delegated and picks up the phone or sends an email? Is it sorted based on geofencing or based on company size? There's a lot of different factors that can determine what will take place in this system. One of my favorite ways to systematize is scripts. And in fact, we've got the absolute expert in sales scripts right here, Mr. Rob Botts. What is your take? Round of applause.
Oh, hey, everyone sit down. You don't have to get up. It's totally fine. I appreciate that. Hey. That guy in the back.
What is your take, Rob, on sales scripts?
Yeah, my big take on sales scripts is scripts are wonderful because they keep you efficient and they keep you effective and they keep you on message. A lot of the times, even when you know a topic really well, if you start talking about it, you can go off on tangents, and tangents can lead into time going longer and maybe getting off into other messaging that you're not even thinking about and isn't even related to what that other prospect or person watching your video needs to hear. So scripting, whether it is exact word for word or whether it is bullet pointed, is completely designed to keep you on message, on point, while bringing your authentic self. Because once the script is written, all you have to do is bring you.
But Rob, some of the objections that I've heard with scripts are they sound too robotic. For example, if someone is using the teleprompter on the Dubb mobile app, it looks like they're reading. And other people might say, well, we should speak from the heart. We should be authentic. We shouldn't use scripts. And then other people, of course, they love scripts. What's your take on that?
I think as long as you're writing from the heart, you will speak from the heart. A lot of the times when something is written, it's coming from yourself. It's coming from your authentic self. So all you're doing is taking the written authentic word and making it the authentic video version of that word, inherently version of you. You can absolutely keep it authentic by writing your own script. Now, if a script is written for you, then you've got to make it your own. And that in itself means, what are you bringing? Well, if you're good on eye contact, keep that eye contact. If you conversationally pause. If you look away being pensive like this, and this is what you naturally do that. Keep to all of the natural things you do. Having a script and a teleprompter does not make you turn into a robot. Trust me, my name is Rob Botts, and I'm not a robot. It's R-O-B-O-T-T-S, not R-O-B-O-T-S, right? So if I can do it, anybody can do it. No, I'm serious. Bring yourself, realize that the script is there just to keep you effective, keep you efficient, and you can absolutely not sound robotic. It just takes a little bit of practice. 2 things you can immediately do. Talk to yourself into a mirror. I know it sounds kind of funny, but you'll get used to seeing yourself speaking, and then also read things out loud. Whether it's a book, whatever, get used to speaking out loud. That'll help as well. But whatever you do naturally, conversationally, in the presence of another human being, do that in the video, because guess what? That video is going to another human being.
The next thing that's so critical when it comes to managing and growing a remote sales team is the software. It's the tools that you're using. Do you have a good messaging app like Microsoft Teams or Slack? Do you have a good project management tool like Asana, Basecamp, Monday.com? Do you have a good CRM like HubSpot or Dubb? Do you have a video sales platform also like Dubb? What are you using to collaborate with documents, with presentations? Are you using Google Docs? Are you using Microsoft Office? Are you using Canva? Canva. At Dubb, we love using Canva because it allows us to create graphic designs, presentations, slides, and any type of graphical assets that look great, that are really easy to make and also collaborate on. And the last thing is data. What are you using to manage data?
Are you talking about reporting, Ruben?
That's it. Reporting. At the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, and at the end of the year, how are you interpreting this data? What are the inputs and what are the outputs? Data management is such an important part to gain trust, to manage a remote sales team, and most importantly, to realize growth. So do not forget about data. It's so important. It all starts with hiring. What is your hiring process for people on your remote sales team? What are the traits that they have? What's their background? What are their interests? What are their goals? And is it a good cultural fit? These are things that are so important to think about.
One of the big things when you're looking to hire a remote sales team, we here at Dubb, certain criteria we would look at. So one, you want to make sure that remote sales team person is responsible. I know it sounds kind of straightforward and obvious, but remote sales teams and remote teams back in the day was almost a fantastical thing you'd think about. Like, oh, that's not possible. That's totally fiction. Today, it's a mainstay. In fact, it's probably, I don't know what the percentage would be, but a large percentage of companies out there have large remote teams. So the first thing you want to have is someone that is very responsible. That's number one. Number two, you want to have someone that's an effective communicator. Because being an effective communicator in Slack or Microsoft Teams or whatever communication tool that you're using, you have to be effective in your messaging. One of the ways that we find here at Dubb, obviously that's very effective to communicate, is with video. So you'd send a asynchronous piece of content video to another employee, coworker, and that's a great way to communicate. There are other devices as well, synchronous meeting, obviously with Zoom and other tools like that. But you need to be effective with that communication when you have the opportunity to communicate. The last thing you really want to focus on is you want to have someone that feels like they're up to the challenge. So when you have someone working remotely, if they're responsible, if they're an effective communicator, you want to have someone that you feel like is up to the challenge. They're ready to tackle every project. Because if you have someone that is motivated, they effectively communicate, and they're responsible, those are major things in keeping your remote team together.
One of the things that we also recommend is actually give challenges to the people throughout the hiring process and the interviewing process. Ask them to record a sales video and see what it's like. See how comfortable they are on camera. Ask them to write a script. Ask them to create a process to call warm leads or even cold leads. The idea of testing the assimilation of someone within your culture can determine how they're ultimately going to fit. And the last thing you might ask is, are you looking for a Michael Jordan? Are you looking for a Scottie Pippen? Are you looking for a Dennis Rodman? Or are you looking for a Larry Bird?
I got my answer. Larry Bird! No, I'm kidding. Michael Jordan's the greatest. I will say this one last time. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. He's the greatest player of all time. But being from Boston, Larry Bird was my hero. He's number 2.
Okay, everybody, this is real quick. It's super important. You ever heard the expression, let's not have a meeting about having a meeting? So that's pretty much what you want to think of too with your remote sales teams. Don't have meetings just to have meetings, because the more meetings you have, the less productive you're going to be. Have a good, efficient meeting and then leave people alone on their communication channel so they can get things done. If you have a message you want to send to someone on Slack or Microsoft Teams, send that efficient message. Don't ding, 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 ding them. That's just not effective. Remember that.
All right, so the last most important topic we're going to talk about right now is goals. Do you have them? If not, you should. And if you do have them, Ruben, why are goals so important in the remote team setting?
Google pioneered this system called OKRs, which is objectives and key results. And what's really interesting about this model, it creates an environment of transparency among the whole team. Everyone has to specify 3 goals for each and every quarter, and then all of the individual subtasks that they need to pursue to accomplish those goals. Now, what's really interesting about this system is that it shows transparency and alignment. Everyone on the remote sales team probably has a similar or the same goal, which is to get more leads, to get more clients, and ultimately to get more referrals. Having all of this transparent is a key for your remote sales team because it shows transparency, it shows alignment, and it has measurability. Now, one of the most important factors of OKRs is this idea of stretch goals. Stretch goals means if you're trying to accomplish $1 million in revenue for the quarter, go for 4 or go for 10. And if you land at 2 or 3, you've doubled or tripled your initial goal. Stretch goals inspire and motivate us to push ourselves to accomplish more than we initially thought. Now, OKRs is not a perfect system. It does have its criticisms, which you can do your research on, but the idea here is transparency, alignment, and measurability.
And how amazing does it feel when you go beyond your limits? beyond the expectations that you had for yourself or for your team. It's an amazing feeling. Push those areas and you'll get the results.
Well, that's what Larry Bird does.
He sure does. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this video. We put a lot of work into this in terms of
Thank
the
you,
advice
guys.
we want to get out to everyone because we care about everybody. We want you to make the right decisions and we want to give you information that you can absolutely use. If you like this episode, Ruben, what do they got to do?
Please consider sharing this with a friend, someone that's managing a remote sales team. They might be able to use it. And don't forget to like this video and put a comment below. We promise to respond to every single one.
And if you have a Dubb video, put it in the comments. We love it. Not a lot of people know about that. You can put a Dubb video in the comments. Pretty cool. See you next episode.
Next episode. See ya. You're funny. You're very funny.
Okay. Hey, sneak this one right in here. Okay, there we go.